All right, tonight we have a very special spotlight speaker, Miss Patti Benson from Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, actually, Florida. And Patti has an amazing journey. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about Patti. One is she's one of my dearest people on the planet that I love, and couldn't do life without her. And she is she's an LPGA teaching pro at the, or was formerly. Right now, she's not doing that right now, but at the Palm Beach Country Club, along with her amazing husband, Bobby. She also is the former president of the LPGA. That's golf, you guys, like she and Bobby rock golf. And she's also in the Hall of Fame for golf. So she's famous, which I love that because she totally deserves it. And she's also a cancer survivor and a cancer fighter. And that's kind of where we're going to go with her journey tonight a little bit. And Patti's going to share a little bit about her story of hope and healing and kind of how she got started. She's been with Juice Plus for 17 years and actually was taking Juice Plus before that. So she's always had Juice Plus as a tool on board, her fruits and vegetables. And Patti, you want to just kind of go way back and start with, you know, kind of how you heard about Juice Plus and why it made sense to you.
Absolutely. And Reagan, thank you for the wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. We've known each other for 17 years, so it's been a great relationship and friendship. And I love our team and I love Juice Plus. So Bobby and I are very grateful to be a part of all of this. But so 1999, it was actually January is when I was diagnosed. But prior to that, in the fall of 1998, I wasn't feeling very well. I felt like I actually had constantly lactose intolerance is what it felt like. And it was my mother who actually said, something's not right. This shouldn't be like this. You should check with your doctor. And so I had a really great, regular general practitioner who said, let's just check a few things. He checked gallbladder and he says, let's do a check on your ovaries. And I'm like, well, why would that be? But it didn't make any sense to me. So I thought, well, I'll just do whatever you say. And they saw that there was some scar tissue because what had happened, I had had a previous hysterectomy in 1997 because I had fibroid tumors, but they left the ovaries because they didn't want me to go into, menopause at age 38. So they left the ovaries and they saw scar tissue. So went in for what was called kind of an exploratory. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a frog tonight. We got some wind blowing stuff around in here in the South Florida. But anyway, so what ended up happening was the doctor said that when I go in for the surgery, I'll either finish up as the gynecologist or we have an oncology gynecologist on board just in case. And the gynecologist actually finished the surgery. I found out I had ovarian cancer in both of the ovaries. It was considered stage 1B, which means early stage, both ovaries, but it hadn't spread to anything else or anywhere else, which was a blessing. But I want to tell you very quickly that I know a lot of people, knew some people who actually had early stage ovarian cancer, like a 1A or 1B, and they passed away. And I currently know today stage 4 ovarian cancer survivors that shouldn't have lived, and yet they're alive 25 years later. So anything's possible in this world. This depends on kind of a lot of, things, but I'm going to go through some of them that might help too. So I ended up having the surgery. I had 3 rounds of chemotherapy, and I was doing well for 20 years. I did well with no issues whatsoever. I always had cancer checkups, but everything went well. And then about 2.5, almost going on 3 years ago now, I started having like a bump or something. You can't see me because I'm down further, but it was like underneath my right rib cage. And I found this like lumpy, bumpy thing that almost felt like a golf ball. Speaking of golf. And I thought, well, that's kind of unusual. So I didn't do really much about it, but then I thought I better do something about it, just check it out. So I had a urologist check it out. And they indicated that it was just a tumor, that it was not a cancerous tumor. We'd done some exploratory surgery on that one too. So kind of left it alone for about 10 years or so, thinking that everything was going to be fine. Then all of a sudden it started kind of growing more and more and more. And what I did find out was the chemo that I had in 1999 actually can cause kidney and bladder cancer. And that's what I was diagnosed with in 2019. It's actually going on 3 years, pretty soon. And I was like, I don't understand, because 17 years ago, when after the ovarian cancer surgery and the chemotherapy and all that, I was playing in an LPGA tournament, or I was actually supposed to play in an LPGA tournament, but I wasn't able to play because it was several years after the surgery and chemo, and I still hadn't gotten my strength back. So, but I was there for the event because I was an officer. And one of my LPGA colleagues came up to me. She says, "Why aren't you playing?" And I said, I don't have the energy to play golf anymore. And I'm like 42, 43, 44, something like that. And she says, "You're too young to not have the energy. What's going on?" I said, "I just never really got it back after the chemo and the surgery." She says, "You need Juice Plus." And I said, "Yeah, I need what?" I had never heard of Juice Plus before. And she says, "You need Juice Plus." I said, "Well, tell me a little bit about it." She said something about something in a capsule. And, when you're listening to people, what do you hear? You hear just pieces. And I heard capsule. And I said, "Whoa, time out." I said, "I can't take vitamins. They make me sick to my stomach." She says, "It's not a vitamin. And I don't think you're going to get sick, but let's give it a try. And if anything happens, you can send them back." And I said, "I'll try it, but you are going to get these back if I get sick." And that was 17 years ago. So I never did get sick from them, by the way. And so I kept taking Juice Plus religiously. And through this incredible community, I even was able to do some health coach classing and be certified in like 3 different health coach I don't know what you want to call them, genres or whatever you want to call them. But anyways, they're certified in 3 different areas with health coaching. And I learned a lot along the way about what is good health and how you get healthier and things like that. So when this diagnosis came almost 3 years ago about kidney and bladder cancer, I was floored. I mean, I really was floored. I'm thinking, we weren't plant-based 100% because I don't think I can really do 100% vegan, but we were eating mostly plants, taking our Juice Plus, exercising, a couple things that I weren't doing right. I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes with my pillars that I talk about. But I thought that I was doing everything right. And to have this diagnosis absolutely just crushed me. I was like, this doesn't make sense. In fact, I had a friend of mine says, "Oh, I thought your Juice Plus was supposed to help you not get cancer and that sort of thing." And when she said it, I kind of said to myself, yeah, I thought so too. But then I learned that health and cancer and no matter heart disease, you name it, whatever it is, has so much more to do with just diet and taking Juice Plus. I mean, that's just the part of it. And that's what Juice Plus is so great about. It's a catalyst to help us get to the next level and to actually catapult our health in the right direction. And that's really what it's done for me, even to another level from where I was, when I first started and learned all the way. So what I really wanted to do is also touch a little bit about our complete shake mix too. It's a shake mix that is has good fiber in it. It has protein in it. And what I found out was actually about the same time I got diagnosed with that, I got diagnosed with something called C. difficile. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's not fun.
It's awful.
And it's a gut problem. And I was finding that oftentimes I couldn't even eat regular food because my gut was so messed up from this, but I could drink complete. And it would stay down, and it would at least gave me the energy and nutrition. And sometimes that would be all I would eat all day because I couldn't eat anything else because of this problem I had. And eventually I'm going to knock on wood, I got rid of it, and I haven't had any issues with it ever since. But that it was I have a lot of problems going through that, but the complete, I think, saved the day. Really, I did. And even today, when I have my blood tested, I have my blood tested like weekly. I was eating other things like, maybe I'd have, I don't know what I'd have, like an egg or something for breakfast, and I'd have a piece of fruit or something. And then I'd go and have my test because they weren't fasting tests. They were just regular blood tests, but they'd always test my blood sugar. And I noticed that my blood sugar was always a little bit over 100. Always, I'm like, what is the deal here? And so one day I said, well, I'm just going to drink complete and see what happens. And would you believe, and this has happened every time I have taken complete before, every time. my blood test is that my numbers are always, they're supposed to be below 100. They're always in the 80s, 82, 84, 86. Always when I drink a complete shake, my blood sugar never raises. It never spikes. And I just think that that is such a testament to our complete shake that really says, hey, people sometimes worry, well, it might have too much sugar, or it might have too many carbs, or it has whatever. It might spike my blood sugar. It does not. I don't know how they do it, but it doesn't.
Well, because it's got so much fiber, right? It's very slow release, and it's plant-based energy. So it's not just a bunch of, protein with some sugar added. It's actually all kinds of plants and, balance between carbs, fiber, and protein. So, it's one of the perfect things for you to be able to have great nutrition for a long extended period of time versus just this short little, I satisfied my hunger and now my sugar goes through the roof, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's been a lifesaver for me. I can promise you that. So then we go on further about what's the pillars that I talked about. So I call these the pillars of health because there's so many things that really go into health more than just your diet. It's important and it's a huge part of good health, but there's more to it. So when you talk about eating, certainly taking Juice Plus, certainly drinking our complete shake, eating mostly organic as much as you can, eating as plant-based as possible. Again, we're not vegan. We do eat meat product, but we eat a whole lot less meat product than we do vegetables and fruits. So I find comfort in at least knowing that it used to be just the opposite way before Juice Plus, where we'd eat, a piece of meat this big and have very little fruits and vegetables. Now our meat might be something like, 2 or 3 ounces or something. That's the truth. And then the rest of it's fruits and vegetables, salads, whatever, that sort of thing. So in our Shred 10 program that we have, every month, practically every month, this month coming up, we're doing a smoothie, 12 days of smoothie in December, but starting tomorrow, starting Wednesday. But our Shred 10 program is so perfect for this, eating healthy and being more healthy and eating a balanced meal, because our Shred 10 actually helps you eat more plant-based, helps you cut off a little bit earlier in the evening so that you have a more fasting time, which is really important with great health. And it certainly gives you the nutrients, and there's other things, there's other parts of our Shred 10 that you're going to see fit right along with this. The other one is stress. That was one of the things that I had the worst trouble with, is I had a lot of stress in my life. My mom and dad both had some health issues that I was helping them, and my sister and I were both, and Bobby too. We were all helping my mom and dad at the time with their health problems. They were getting older, so it was standard reason these things were happening. But we owned a business at the same time, plus trying to do Juice Plus. And I often found myself that I always would say to Bobby, the box of envelopes that we get from Home Depot so we can, put our invoices in, how they stuff them. There's like 100 envelopes in this box and you can't fit another one in there. I said, that's what I feel like. If we put one more envelope in my box, I'm gonna explode. And that's how I often felt all the time. So stress is such an important thing. You have to figure out a way to get over it. And stress comes from negative thoughts and emotions. And if you're overworked and undersleep, which that is another one of my problems, you really, there's age groups that, like 7 hours of sleep is really good. Some people need 8, some people can get by on 6, but anything less than 6 or 8 hours of sleep is unhealthy. And you might pick up a nap here or so, it's just great. But honestly, you need to get good rest and sleep to be healthy. And that's not always easy for many of us to do either, especially as we age. We can't sleep through the night. You just have to get up and use the restroom, or, maybe you have an elderly dog like we do who has to get up and use the restroom. And, sometimes you're not getting good quality sleep, but it's really important to get stress-free and get rest. And things like emotions like fear and anger and unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is a choice. I don't realize that, yeah. But if you have people in your life that you haven't forgiven for whatever reason they've done, you need to kind of make a choice and say, okay, is it really worth hanging on to? Because I'm telling you, it will make you sick. And I had to, even people who had been deceased, I had to write a letter to them. And I like put it in my drawer. I left it there for several months before I read it again, and then eventually shredded it. But they were passed away already, and I had to write and tell them that I forgave them, and you have to do these kinds of things, because if you let anger and unforgiveness harbor in your system, believe me, it will cause disease. Testify to that. Worry, guilt. What was it, Joyce Meyer, who says worry is like being in a rocking chair. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. And that's the thing about worry is, you're thinking, you're doing something, but it's not getting you where you need to be. And so worry is not a good thing. I say, turn off the news. That's not easy for people to do, but I've learned to do that. It's like, I can't even watch this stuff. Just like, let me just know some of the details. Other than that, I am not watching this. Find a way to create a peaceful and quiet and happy life that's conducive to health and healing. And that's not always easy either in our hectic world, is it? And so we just need to figure out where we can find some quiet time in our lives, because those are the things, I guess you have to decide what priorities you want for your health. And if health is a priority, you got to carve out time to do those sort of things. Be thankful and grateful. At the end of the evening, I've learned to do this. I started it 3 years ago, where at the end of every evening, I would just sit down and reflect for a few minutes and say, what am I grateful for today? And sometimes it's like standing in the shower and actually having hot running water, because I think about there are many people in this world who don't even have access to water, let alone hot, right? And clean. And sometimes it's just being grateful that I could get a hot running shower, or that we have a nice home to live in, or that we have the resources to pay for it, just certain things like that, or how hard Bobby works and my sister works to help me sometimes when I really have needed them. So be grateful. Think about just five. And if you got more to go, just keep writing it, and do that before you go to bed at night, because you're going to find that the more grateful you are, the happier you will be. And that will also, cause positivity in your life, because happiness and kindness are contagious. Exercise. I don't do enough of that still today, unfortunately. I need to do more. My sister is really good about that. She exercises a few times. Well, she's on the treadmill a lot, and then she does physical exercise, but her significant other happens to be a personal trainer, so she's got a little help there. But what's the best exercise? It's, as Reagan says, it's the one you will do. So find something that you like. And if you haven't exercised in a while, start slow, because the worst thing you can do is, go 100 miles an hour on the first go, and then you wake up the next day lame and you're hurt and tired, and then you don't do it again, right? But work up to it, go slowly, and then stay consistent with exercise, because it will help your health and help the blood move and your lungs and everything else. And then the last one, that's really not last but not least. That's not the way it is. It's just that I put it last because I wanted to kind of make a exclamation point, is faith. Everybody has a little bit of a different take on their faith. Some don't believe in faith at all, and then some people have different religions that they believe in. I don't think faith is a religion per se. If you have a religion, that's great. If you don't, I think that's fine. I think faith is having a relationship with God. If you believe in God, that's great. If you don't, I find faith in something, because, I think that's what's really gotten me through these last almost 3 years. People say, you're so inspiring. And I'm like, well, how do you stay so upbeat? And I say, because I have faith, trust, and belief that God is with me. He's with me all the time. And no matter how bad it's going to get, or how bad it does get, or how bad it's been, that I can remember many times that I've gotten through bad times, that miracles have happened. And I know that those are all blessings. So I have to just go with what I know. And if you don't believe, that's okay. There's no judgment here, please. But find something that you can put your faith and belief and trust in, because I think that is just it's the icing on the cake that just makes everything come together. Just real quick, like my catalyst, my regimen with Juice Plus, I actually probably could do more, but I take 4 of each of the fruit, veggie, and berry. I've done that for many years, do that every single day. That's double the amount that we are minimum. The minimum is 2 each every day. I take 4 every day. I take 2 of the omegas every day. And then oftentimes I'll add the soft chews, which gives me like my triple dose. And so, but I use those as like a dessert instead of eating candies and cakes, which are my downfall. And then I usually try to drink at least 1 complete shake a day. And we also have a new shake called Fusion, which is really cool. It has more protein, less fiber for people who need something a little bit more for muscle building, or maybe need a little more. Reagan was talking about that maybe it filled her up a little bit more, or even as we age, we really need more protein. So it's a higher protein shake mix, and is great and tastes great, and is available, I think, coming up in December, if I'm not mistaken, to hopefully our general public. And then the last but not least also is growing a tower garden. Talk about peaceful, calming. If you don't know what the tower garden is, please get with the person who invited you, because the tower garden is like a waterfall. And it's where we have ours situated on our patio, which is right outside our bathroom window. And you can hear it. It sounds like a waterfall, and it's so beautiful. And then every day you go out, you see your produce growing. Well, we live in Florida, so we can do it this time of year, but you can have it. I know Missy has hers in the kitchen. Maybe some of you others do too, where it's indoors. And so how cool is that, listening to the waterfall inside your house? But, these are the things that if you want better health, it's not like you just pick one. I mean, you really kind of have to do it all, especially if you're in a situation like I am, when you're trying to get well and you're trying to get healthy. But you know what? Why wait until you've been diagnosed with something? Let's do this in advance, because it's possible. And I appreciate you being here tonight. I appreciate you listening to me. And I hope I've given you a few tips that you can use and make your health and life a whole lot better. And thank you, Reagan, for inviting me to do this.
Wow, Patti, amazing story. And I mean, I took 2 pages of notes, and I love that you are like looking at a full focus, not just like, oh, here, take some fruits and vegetables in a capsule and you'll be good, because Juice Plus is just a tool to help you get more of the good stuff in. But we have to do all those other things. And I love that you also said have faith in something, because I think when you're going through what you're going through, you can't carry it alone. And it's so key, to be able to just offload that and be able to focus on the things that you can do, which you do such a great job at, by the way. By the way, you guys, Patti has been in the hospital a couple of times just from some complications here and there. And she has people ordering Juice Plus from her while she's in the hospital bed. So, I mean, if that tells you anything about what people think of her health, even going through something, and then her passion for helping people is off the charts. Like, I have never met anybody that is more giving than Patti Benson, as far as wanting to help people, be better, feel better, look better, the whole thing. So Patti, you're love and you're a light. And I so appreciate you. So
make me blush or cry. Thank you.
So with that, if anybody does anybody have any questions for Patti? You guys are welcome to unmute and speak up if you have a question for her. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer.
Patti, I do. I don't know if you can hear me though. I'm outside. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jill.
Okay, awesome. Oh my gosh. I thank you so much for sharing your story. And so my question is, so you've had all this roller coaster ride, and through it all, what have you noticed, or what have the doctors said? Because you've talked about this along your journey, or like you mentioned with your blood tests, like about having Juice Plus on board. I think you've mentioned in past calls, like your oncologist has been very supportive. Could you talk about that aspect of your journey a little bit for us, please?
That's a great question, Jill, to be honest with you, because I have spoken to many people who are going through cancer treatments right now. And I will share with them about Juice Plus. They get very excited about it, and they think, oh, this would work really great for me, but I need to talk to my oncologist. And I'm like, absolutely. And I said, but I always ask them, please ask your oncologist, am I allowed to eat salads? Am I allowed to eat fruits? and vegetables? Because if the answer is yes, which, it is always yes. I mean, that's on the American Cancer Society website, eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, it's like number one on their list of things to do. But then when they say, oh, I want to take Juice Plus, the oncologist is like, no, you can't take that. You can't take that. And I just, I've tried to arm people so much with it, but they believe they're oncologists. I was so fortunate when I met my oncologist, Susie and Herbo and John and Bobby. We all went to the doctor together. This is before COVID. So we were all in the room together, and I brought the bottles of Juice Plus all the research, right? And especially the one from the MD Anderson for the ovarian cancer, which if you don't know what that is, ask the person who brought you. It's a great research that they did on women who had ovarian cancer with Juice Plus and also the complete shake. It's a great study. And so I'm armed with everything I can think of because I'm thinking he's going to say no. And when I said to him, I'm taking these supplements, they're called Juice Plus, and not really supplements, they're actually full whole food nutrition and in a capsule. It's like eating fruits and vegetables. And so I handed him the bottles, and he looked, just looks good to me. I'm like, and I'm ready, I'm ready. I am ready to go because I'm gonna blast him. And he says, looks good to me. And I'm like, okay. And so really, other than some of my kidney tests, which are kind of messed up because of the treatment I'm on, which it's tough, when you're under that kind of strong treatment, sometimes things don't always get to normal, but all my other levels, like my electrolytes and various things like that, are always in great levels. And I, every time he says, your levels are great, And I keep saying it's Juice Plus, and so I don't get too much further than that with him, but at least he's open, which that's more than I can say for some oncologists.
Well, and I think too, it's important to realize that, a lot of the doctors, one is they're not taught nutrition, and they're taught, how to treat people with drugs. And so, and people will bring them bags of, can I take this, and they need to cover their, what. So they just have to say, if they don't know what it is, legally, they have to say no. So if you have a doctor that's actually willing to look at it and willing to understand that it's got a nutrition label versus, a nutrition label versus a supplement label, and understand that it's a way for you to flood your body with more produce, typically they'll say yes. But it's the way you have to approach your doctor. You can't just say, hey, can I take this? They don't know what it is, or if they've never seen it. Legally, they're just going to say, look, I look at so much stuff, just don't take anything. And, they're busy. So it's not their fault. It's just the way it is. So, if you go through something like this, or somebody, make sure that they're asking those questions that Patti said is, am I allowed to eat more fruits and vegetables? Because really that's all Juice Plus is a way to flood your body with more plant produce, right? More plant concentrated powders. So ask the right questions, right? So anyway, anybody else? Okay.
Patti, it's Karen. I have a quick question. When
Sure.
you're in the hospital, do you have any difficulty with the physicians or nurses letting you take your Juice Plus?
Oh, you know what? No, I would say no, because first of all, the Juice Plus has like capsule holders. And so they're always in my capsule holders. And so my last day was quite a long one. And so Bobby would keep bringing me my Juice Plus in Ziploc baggies. So I just stuffed them in my purse. So I don't know if they really knew, except for when we, like the nurses, I would get to talking with them and I would show them my capsule, thing. But nobody ever said anything to me like you shouldn't take it or anything like that. But I didn't necessarily blatantly do it in front of them either. So, and because I was mostly mobile and whatnot, they didn't have to hang with me 24/7. So I was alone a lot. But I never had any problem with that whatsoever. And then as I said, when I shared, and I usually had my soft chews with me, which is what I shared with them, was the soft chews. So yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
Nadia, I'm sure. Oh, sorry, Karen, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when my mother was diagnosed with lung cancer and she had brain mets and she had a craniotomy, I walked in with the Juice Plus because she had been taking it. And I was like, okay, let's get an order. And I wouldn't back down. I'm like, this is just food. And a doctor finally came in and said, okay, what is it that you want the order for? And I showed her that it was just food. And she goes, oh, absolutely. And I got an order written saying that it was okay for patient to take her
Yeah.
own Juice Plus product.
Yeah,
But it
sometimes
didn't
you have to
happen
do that.
easily.
I never, yeah. So was your mom able to take it after all?
She couldn't remember to in the beginning. But they
That's
would
why.
help her with it because I left it on the side table.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand now. I understand why you did have to ask. I didn't ask. I just took it.
Good for you.
Wasn't gonna go a day without it.
Yeah, because you've armed yourself with the knowledge. And I think that's the thing. We want to empower people to take control of their own health and not just wait for somebody else to, help us with our nutrition. We need to do that because really the nutrition is the foundation for all healing, right? All medicines work better when we have great nutrition supporting our body to enlist itself in the healing. So Patti, you've done such a great job with that.
Thank you.
So, all right, with that, you guys, I hope you have an awesome evening. Thank you for tuning in, Patti.
Thank you, Patti.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. I
What a
really
gift.
hope I had a great time. I hope I helped you all and your
Fantastic.
guests.
Awesome
Great.
message.
Okay.
Love everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
See
Patti,
you
for a
next
great
week.
call.
Thank you, Patty. You're
Love you.
amazing.
Bye.
Congratulations on
Thank
promotion. Good night.